I said I had a baby with Paris Hilton over Kim Kardashian. You know, Kim was Paris Hilton's assistant.
What's going on with this? That is if I ever go to India outfit. Really? I
said I had a baby with Paris Hilton over Kim Kardashian.
There was a story that came out, a video that was shown saying back in the days when Kim K was Paris Hilton's assistant.
Yeah.
Was it true? Was Kim K Paris's assistant?
Yeah, she used to sleep in my guest room. Yep. And then some weird shit happened. I'm not gonna say what happened, and then she made it to the master bedroom.
Kanye West just dropped a jaw-dropping bombshell about his ex-wife Kim Kardashian and her longtime best friend, Paris Hilton, hinting that the two socialites might have been swapping partners with none other than Diddy himself. But here's where it gets even crazier. There's talk of a mysterious, possibly incriminating video that was allegedly seized during the shocking raid at Diddy's mansion. Now, this wild theory about Kim and Paris getting a little too close with Diddy isn't exactly new. Those paying close attention to Hollywood's darker corners might have heard whispers before, but things took a turn no one expected when legendary music producer Scott Storch broke his silence. Scott, who was knee-deep in the music scene during the explosive early 2000s, wasn't just speaking off the cuff. He exposed details about the secret lives of celebrities behind velvet ropes and closed doors. His stories, they matched Kanye's claims a little too perfectly. At the time, Storch was living the high life on Indian Creek Island, also known as the Billionaire Bunker, a haven for the ultra-rich. That's when Paris Hilton walked into his life. At first, they linked up for a music project, but the collaboration quickly turned steamy. The two started dating, and soon Paris was pulling Scott into a secret world of afterparties, exclusive invites, and late-night rendezvous with A-list names. But the most shocking revelation: Paris may have introduced him and others to a darker, more seductive side of fame. And if what Kanye and Scott are saying lines up, Hollywood's golden era might have had a very dirty underbelly.
And then I sold it like a couple years later to move closer to disaster, which was, I was safe in Bal Harbor, and then I moved to Palm Island, and that's where all happened. So yeah, Paris came to work with me. We ended up dating and had a relationship. And
according to Scott Storch, it was Paris Hilton who flung open the doors to a whole new world for him. She didn't just introduce him to glitz, she dragged him headfirst into the blinding flash of paparazzi cameras, non-stop Hollywood nightlife, and that addictive, high-voltage celebrity energy. Suddenly, he wasn't just producing hits, he was the headline. From being splashed across U.S. weekly covers to making surprise appearances on TMZ, Scott's private world exploded into the public eye. He already had the mansions, the exotic cars, and stacks of cash, but Paris gave him the one thing he never had: fame soaked in scandal. Before their whirlwind connection, Scott was a behind-the-scenes genius, locked away in studios, more comfortable with beats than bottle service. He even confessed that he once felt too anxious, too out of place, to step into those celebrity circles. But with Paris, he was suddenly invited to the wildest rooms, and to the secrets hidden inside them.
She introduced me to paparazzi's nightlife, being the man, Us Weekly, fucking, TMZ, this whole party life and wild that I never experienced before, because I was in the studio night and day. I was rich. I had every car you can imagine, but they only went from the house to the studio and back. Friends would come over and they would go to the club and then they would come back after, and I would ask them how it was. I think I was nervous to even be cool at that point. And then
she introduced me to everything paparazzi, nightlife, being that guy in the spotlight. Suddenly, I was showing up in Us Weekly, popping up on TMZ, living this wild, non-stop party life I'd never experienced before. Before that, I was locked in the studio day and night. I was already rich, had every luxury car you could dream of, but they only went from my house to the studio and back. My friends would go out to clubs, come back after partying all night, and I'd just sit there asking them how it was. Honestly, I think I was too nervous to even act like I was cool back then. I didn't know how to fit into that scene until Paris brought me into it.
That I got so caught up in that, and it changed who I was. I was hanging out with people that are just not good. People that think they're better than others. I don't want to call out names, whatever, it's too insulting, but just Hollywood douchebags. And you are what you hang out with, and it changed me from being this like innocent, like soulful, like, you know, organic person to like this quest for fame and this quest to like I wasn't even like really that sprung on Paris.
But once Paris stepped into his life, everything flipped overnight. That was the turning point, the moment Scott Storch's world shifted from beats and melodies to bright lights and reckless highs. He admitted it openly. He got caught up in the chaos. It became a phase where he acted completely out of character, lost in the adrenaline rush of Hollywood fame. The deeper he sank into that scene, the more disconnected he became from who he really was. Suddenly, he was surrounded by people he now describes as toxic, superficial, and full of fake smiles, people who thrived on looking down at others to lift themselves up. He didn't name names, he said doing so would be too disrespectful, but the shade was heavy, and the message was crystal clear. Those high-profile circles didn't just change him, they corrupted him. They turned a soulful, grounded, music genius into someone chasing flashbulbs, drama, and attention. And by the time he realized what was happening, the damage had already been done.
The story that came out, a video that was shown saying, back in the days when Kim K was Paris Hilton's assistant.
Yeah.
Was it true? Was Kim K Paris's assistant?
Yeah, she used to sleep in my guest room.
But then came Kim Kardashian long before the fame, filters, and billionaire status. Back then, she was simply known as Paris Hilton's closet organizer, barely a blip on the celebrity radar. But Scott Storch dropped a detail that caught everyone completely off guard. In a moment that raised eyebrows, he revealed, Kim used to stay in his guest room. No context, no timeline, just that cryptic, loaded statement enough to send speculation into overdrive.
And then some weird happened. I'm not gonna say what happened, but and then she made it to the master bedroom.
That alone was enough to raise eyebrows, but what truly stood out was what he revealed next. According to Scott, something changed. He didn't dive into the details, didn't name names, didn't spill timelines, but whatever happened behind closed doors, it was big enough to move Kim out of the guest room. She quietly transitioned into the master bedroom. That subtle shift said everything he didn't say aloud. No words needed. The message was crystal clear. Something went down and it changed the entire dynamic in that house.
Yeah.
Paris found out, or?
No, it was just like she and I were done, and like I think we were both like had it, and we were like commiserating. What did he say? Karen's she's commiserating at the house from Goodfellas.
Eventually, Paris found out, but by the time the truth surfaced, her relationship with Scott was already in the rear view. The damage had been done. And right as the dust settled, Kim stepped straight into the spotlight. Scott described what happened next with one word: commiserating. Both he and Kim were down bad, emotionally wrecked, each dealing with their own personal chaos. But somehow, in that mess, they found comfort in each other. Misery met misery, and just like that, they linked up. What started as shared struggle quietly turned into something more. And the timing couldn't have been more suspicious.
She was a super cool girl.
Kim was awesome.
Yeah, like
what was awesome about her?
She was organic, and she was just like, you know, eager to like. She wanted to like build her career up. She kind of followed Paris's blueprint with the foreign tag after whatever. But at that time, she was just a cool kid, and like.
Although Scott threw a little shade earlier, he also gave Kim Kardashian her flowers. He credited her for being authentic, ambitious, and laser-focused. He said she had that raw, organic drive, hungry to carve out her own path and determined to build something bigger than just a name. But then came the twist. Scott said Kim didn't start from scratch, she followed Paris Hilton's blueprint, especially when it came to navigating the international party scene. According to him, there was a strategy, a playbook, and Kim studied it page by page. And to her credit, she played it better than anyone ever expected.
I got video, dog. A picture.
$1 billion yacht. Oh, that's Scott Storch?
Yeah, that's Scott Storch, yo.
Oh, snap. What the hell is Scott Storch?
Yo, he's a dude that make all the beats and yo.
Oh, look at his hair. Look at his hair, man.
That's Scott Storch, dog.
Hey, look at his girl, homie. Get in the car.
Scott Storch.
Then Scott dropped another bomb, the Bugatti story. He recalled pulling up to a mansion on Washington Avenue, engine roaring, in his sleek, black Bugatti, with Kim Kardashian riding shotgun. But here's where it got wild. Scott said there's actual video footage from that night. The cameras were flashing, the crowd was buzzing, but all eyes were on him. Not a single person noticed the woman quietly sitting in the passenger seat, as he put it. That was Kim K. And nobody clocked it at the time. She was already there, front row to the lifestyle, rubbing shoulders with the elite but still invisible to the fame she was about to claim.
That's my car too, behind him. That was my driver that used to carry all my for me.
Mercedes Maybach, I think.
That was 62.
Trailing behind the Bugatti was Scott's second ride, a Mercedes Maybach 62, gliding like royalty through the streets. Behind the wheel, a man Scott casually referred to as his guy. But this wasn't just a chauffeur. According to Scott, that same trusted guy had a very specific job, carrying all his nose candy, the stash, the powder, the party fuel. Quiet, discreet, always nearby. It was all part of the lifestyle, flashy cars in front, secrets in the back seat.
Kanye flew home last night, and he came back this morning. I want to show you guys what he got me. He got me all of his take back.
Oh, Kim.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
That detail wasn't told like some flashy flex, it was raw, almost like a confession. A brief, unfiltered glimpse into a world where the game moved fast, the rules blurred, and the line between fame, indulgence, and flat-out survival was paper thin. And that leads us straight to what Kanye West once said, long before he ever married Kim Kardashian. Kanye knew what he was stepping into. He wasn't blind. He knew about the past, the parties, the circles, and most importantly, the tapes. Not just the infamous one with Ray J, according to whispers, and, according to Kanye, there were multiple tapes, and even now, years later, Kanye is still fighting behind the scenes, doing everything in his power to keep those tapes from ever leaking. Because he knows once they surface, the narrative changes forever.
I should have had a baby with Paris Hilton over Kim Kardashian. You know, Kim was Paris Hilton's assistant.
What's going on with this? That is if I ever go to India outfit. Really?
I should have had a baby with Paris Hilton over Kim Kardashian.
But now, it seems Kanye is done playing nice. Not too long ago, he popped up on Twitch, letting thousands of viewers eavesdrop as he vented uncensored and unfiltered. And this time, he didn't hold back. He took direct aim at Kim Kardashian. In a moment that instantly exploded across social media, Kanye reportedly said he would have rather had a baby with Paris Hilton than with Kim. That one line was all it took. The internet detonated. The shade was brutal, the message was loud, and the timing, even louder. For many, it felt like Kanye wasn't just airing his feelings, he was torching bridges.
You guys say, could you imagine if I had kids with Paris Hilton, how many hotels I have now? You get what I'm saying? Think about that. Think about that. The Hilton. You know, the Hilton. Because I think I'm staying in the Hilton right now.
And Kanye didn't stop there. He doubled down, suggesting that if he'd had children with Paris Hilton, his legacy would have looked very different. He claimed that aligning himself with the Hilton empire could have meant real, generational, wealth, hotels, global real estate, billion-dollar business moves, the whole luxurious package. It was sarcastic on the surface, but beneath the jabs there was clear tension. You could feel it, like he was still wrestling with the decisions that shaped his life, his family, and his fame. Regret hidden under bravado. At one point, he reportedly mentioned that he doesn't even stay at Hilton's anymore, a subtle but stinging comment, meant to underline just how far his expectations and reality have drifted apart.
I didn't want to have children with this person after the first 2 months of being with her. But that wasn't God's plan.
But here's the twist: the Hilton family hasn't actually owned their hotel empire since 2007. That's 5 years before Kanye even got with Kim, and 6 years before they had their first child. So really, his comment wasn't about ownership or business moves, it was about symbolism. It was about the looking back, realizing he played right into a system he never truly controlled, a system that promised power, legacy, and influence, but only on the surface. And now, years later, he's stuck publicly unpacking the regret, one interview at a time. Things got even darker during his unsettling sit-down with DJ, where Kanye confessed something deeply personal. He didn't even want to start a family with Kim, not after just 2 months of being with her. But then came the line that hit differently. He claimed it wasn't his decision to make, and said it wasn't in God's plan. A moment of honesty, regret, and maybe even surrender.
Kim's only power is to take my kids. I had a baby with a assistant, bro.
It sucks, you know, when someone doesn't see how different they are. You'll always, like, hope that you'll see a glimpse of them. And, like...
Around that same time, reports began circulating that Kim Kardashian was considering legal action to limit Kanye's access to their 4 children. It wasn't necessarily out of spite, at least. That's what insiders claimed, but, rather out of concern. Kanye had become increasingly unpredictable, and that instability was starting to raise red flags. But Kanye wasn't in the dark. He addressed it head-on with a comment that cut deep. He said that Kim's only real power over him was the ability to take his kids away. No money, no fame, just that one devastating leverage. And the way he said it, it wasn't angry. It was resigned. Like a man fully aware that in this game, the system never plays fair, especially when family is involved.
I'll never forget Kanye, not to just be on dissing Kanye, but I remember he came in to visit me and Dr. Dre, and we're in the studio in the middle of making beats, and we were like kind of interrupted, but we were like, all right, cool, whatever. And he's like, I need to take a picture with you guys. So we took a picture with him. It was cool. He left the building, went to, like, drove somewhere, came back and said, my outfit wasn't right. Let me take another picture. And said, like, and so me and Dre looked together like. He stormed out of the studio one time later, I was told, I wasn't there, with Dre, and he said, he called him the devil. He's like, you're the devil. And he ran out like.
Kanye called Dre the devil?
Yeah. Yeah.
What prompted that?
I don't know. Making devil music for me or something. I guess he was on his holy kick at that point or whatever.
When you line all of this up with what Scott Storch shared, the bigger picture starts to come into focus. He described how Kim moved fast, how she shifted circles almost overnight, climbing the social ladder and strategically placing herself next to serious power players. It wasn't luck, it was precision. To back this up, Scott dropped another story, one that sounded minor on the surface but felt loaded underneath. He recalled a past studio session with Dr. Dre, deep in creative mode, when Kanye West suddenly pulled up. He asked for a quick photo, said what's up, and dipped out. But minutes later, he came back wearing a completely different outfit just to retake that same picture. Scott and Dre exchanged a glance, both silently wondering, what the hell was that? Things only got weirder. Later on, Kanye allegedly stormed out, visibly upset, and labeled Dr. Dre the devil. Scott said Dre was left completely baffled by the outburst. No explanation. No context. Just confusion. Maybe Kanye felt the music or the energy in the room didn't align with his spiritual convictions. Or maybe, it was something far more personal, a brewing storm tied to power, perception, and the identity crisis he's been unraveling ever since. It felt like Kanye was trying to hold himself together, barely clinging to reality while everything around him slowly revealed itself to be smoke and mirrors. Like maybe, it was never real to begin with. One viewer put it bluntly. Bombs were dropped. Another said something even darker. He met the witches of Hollywood, and his life was never the same. And honestly, it tracks. A lot of men powerful, influential, talented have been pulled into that world, and never made it out the same. Some didn't make it out at all. The fact that Kanye isn't spilling every detail. To some, that's exactly why they believe him. Because sometimes, silence screams the loudest, so now we're throwing it to you. Sound off in the comments. What do you think is really going on behind the scenes? Because trust us, this conversation is far from over. And if you live for the chaos, the explosive confessions, and the no-filter moments Hollywood tries to bury, you know what to do. Tap in, stay locked, and keep watching. Because what's coming next might blow everything wide open.